Now, you'd think you'd have to go halfway around the world to see basking sharks, the rare Risso's dolphins and killer whales in the wild. But as JC Norman's been finding out, they're actually a lot closer to home than you'd think.
This is a story about love and obsession. A story of one man's love for the sea and an obsession he hopes will one day lead to a dream coming true.
And this is where the dream begins. The seas around the Isle of Man, which play host to some of the most exotic visitors to our shores.
Look at him, just under the grey under the water. It's like a ghost coming through here.
This is John Galpin, and these are the animals he loves. These are rare Risso dolphins, but John's just as passionate about minke whales, even killer whales and basking sharks too.
You see, the whole beauty of these things is just to sit there and let them come to you. They are fabulous. You can't have favourites, but these are my favourites by a long way.
They're part of a best-kept secret. These majestic creatures all swim in the waters around the Isle of Man, and John watches them as often as he can. He runs the Manx Whale and Dolphin Watch, but 12 years ago when he retired to the island, he knew nothing about them.
It was on a quiet morning, just like this one, when John came down to the beach. He looked around, and in the distance, he saw something that would change his life forever.
One morning, I suddenly woke up and there were something like 40 basking sharks just hanging around outside my bedroom window. And it just mesmerised me. I was totally hooked. I'd never seen a basking shark before, and there was about 40 of them. I mean, it's amazing. And I'd sort of heard that we'd had them, and it was sort of in the back of my mind, but I never expected to see them.
The more John looked, the more he discovered.
Oh, the list is huge. I mean, we have an enormous number of species here. We have minke whales. We have lots of minke whales in the summer, which is one of my wonderful, great things. But we have huge whales. We have the fin whale, virtually the biggest whale in the world, almost as big as a blue whale. But we have residents here as well. We have harbour porpoises. We have those here all the year. We have bottlenose dolphins that come here in the winter. And then we have these fabulous Risso's dolphins that we see here. And these are wonderful, large dolphins, about the same size as a bottlenose dolphin, but without the bottle on the nose. Very much like the orca. I mean, you've got this big dorsal fin on the Risso's dolphin. You sometimes think it's an orca, but we get orcas too. I mean, some days you wake up and you see 2 or 3 orcas hunting around the end of the promontory where I live, and that's astounding. You see killer whales in the Isle of Man, just around the Isle of Man, and they're here to hunt the seals and any other animals that they can get hold of, really.
What do you think it is that makes these waters so appealing to them?
Well, I think we're really the sort of motorway service station for the Irish Sea. There's this big, deep trench just offshore here, and the whales and dolphins, I think, just use that whole deep trench as a big motorway. And what we have is a huge feeding opportunity.
He's now dedicated his life to helping conserve and survey the unique marine wildlife around the island. His dream is that one day the shores and seas around the Isle of Man will become one vast marine park. One of John's most remarkable discoveries has been sightings of Risso dolphins. They're extremely rare and normally prefer deeper seas like the Pacific. He's now trying to find out why they come here.
We've got an animal there, for example, which is normally deep water, way in the ocean, and suddenly here in the Isle of Man we have that same animal close to the coast. Why is it behaving in such a coastal manner? What could we do to improve that? You know, how do we get more of these things? How do other people get more of these things? So I'd like to know a bit more about their lifestyle and what brings them here.
Basking sharks are another of John's favourite visitors. These huge sharks can easily be seen from the shore. John regularly watches them from high-powered telescopes in his bedroom.
Would they mainly be female?
The big ones at the front are the females. You get a big female,
that the big animals are the females, and they sort of control the mating process.
Okay, here's the Isle of Man, sitting in the Irish Sea. These are the 8 boxes we've divided all the Manx waters into for the survey.
This year, John's carrying out a major survey of the waters around the island. It's been funded by the Manx government. The results may one day lead to the dream coming true.
The dream would be a marine conserved area around the island where the seabed was allowed to return to normal, and preferably the entire 3-mile area around the island would be wonderful, because that would make a huge difference.
And your dream would create the biggest marine park in the world.
Wouldn't that be great?
That'd be
Wouldn't that be
amazing.
fabulous? And we'd have people coming from all around the world to dive here, to fish here, to enjoy it. We'd have more whales and dolphins, we'd have more fish, we'd have one of the best places to come in the world for tourists, for seabed and for diving and all sorts of marine activities. Yeah, absolutely.
John invited me to join the survey team on one of the last boat trips of the summer to cover the south of the island. The poor weather and rough seas made sightings extremely difficult this year, so the tension was building as we went out. Nobody was quite sure what would happen next.
Fabulous creatures.
They're so much bigger than I thought they were
Well,
going to be.
yeah, they're about the same size as the bottlenose dolphins, so they're a really, really good thing. But you see there was a mother and calf there?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
It was
that's
just
beautiful.
absolutely beautiful.
Fabulous things. These are the best dolphins ever. Look at them, just under the grey under the water. It's like a ghost coming through here. See?
Oh, yeah.
See, you've got this one. It's going to come up in a second here. Oh, fabulous dolphins. Aren't you wonderful?
Just when we thought things couldn't get any better, they did.
Wow, we are really close now, aren't we? I think
Yes,
that's
it's
the
a-
closest that I'm ever going to get to a
This
shark.
is probably the closest you're
in
ever
the
going to get to a
wild.
basking shark. Absolutely.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's about a
Wow.
16-foot shark. About 5.5 meters maybe. So from the tip of the tail to the dorsal fin is about half the length of the shark.
Incredible.
Yeah, and then it's just cruising out. You see it's got a white,
Look at it.
white mark on its nose there? See the white mark on the snout at the top, just under the water?
I can just see it. I can see it. Oh
Isn't
my
this a huge
word.
animal? Aren't they fabulous?
How does
And
it make you feel being that close
I
to
mean, look at the
something?
size of this beast, isn't it beautiful? Look at this.
I just feel like I want to touch it, but I know that would be a bit silly of me. 5 hours in, and we've seen 2 basking sharks and rare Risso dolphins. I almost can't describe how incredible it is to get that close to such big animals.
We moved on to the Calf of Man when suddenly
You see the breach? Breaching! Yeah! Breaching!
the dolphins
breaching!
were leaping out of the water and performed beautifully for the survey team's cameras. The Rissos surrounded the boat and seemed to be playing games with us.
Tail slapping.
And then they started slapping their tails on the water, something John believes has never been recorded on film before.
So today, has it been a big success?
Today, I've got a big grin to today. Today's been fabulous. I almost lost count of the number of those dolphins we've seen. And jumping out the water like that, and tail slapping, and these are fabulous animals doing all these wonderful things for us. And we didn't affect them, you know, we were watching them and they did their thing and we let them alone and they did what they wanted to do and they just let us see them do all these things and we were able to be part of it.
And you can learn more about whale and dolphin watching on the Isle of Man via our website. The address is there for you now.